course, the other big news is the Commerce Department working to isolate Huawei from U.S. tech supply even further. It's taken some of the wind out of the sails of chip stocks this morning. Our Eunice Yoon joins us with more. Hey, Eunice.
Hey, Carl. Well, a hawkish Communist Party newspaper called the Global Times is quoting government sources tonight as saying that China is ready to launch countermeasures against the U.S. if the Trump administration does go ahead with that plan and block the sale of U.S. chips from global suppliers to the Chinese tech giant Huawei. Now, the Commerce Department said it was going to tweak an export rule that would prevent the sale and shipment of those chips to Huawei. And the editor-in-chief at the Global Times, Hu Xijin, who's quite well connected and known to be with government officials, tweeted that the new measures could include activating China's so-called unreliable entity list, so a blacklist, restricting or investigating U.S. companies such as Qualcomm, Cisco, and Apple, and suspending the purchase of Boeing airplanes. And tonight, the paper added that the investigations would be endless, quote, like swords hanging over their heads. Now, despite those threats, the rest of the state media has generally been talking up how China has been making good on its promises with the trade deal, that China has been buying up soybeans, that it's been easing certain tariffs on products from the United States, that it's been importing U.S. blueberries and barley. And the foreign ministry also had a calmer tone today when the ministry was responding to a question about President Trump's comment that the U.S. could cut off the whole relationship with China. The foreign ministry said that it hopes that the U.S. would meet China halfway on trade. So I think what's important here to remember, guys, is that even as much as there's this threat and this rhetoric that's going around, these companies not only provide a lot of important technology to Chinese companies, but also they employ a lot of people. And right now, a lot of the discussion, especially heading to the National People's Congress, which is going to take place next week, is about how China wants to maintain the employment picture here and is very concerned about the number of jobless. So that's another reason why the Chinese, or that the U.S. might have more leverage than maybe the Chinese would like to admit, at least the Chinese over at the Global Times.
And there's also, Eunice, this question about how quickly China's actually coming back online. I mean, we got an encouraging update from another U.S. corporation, Nike, last night, saying 100% of their stores in China and South Korea are open. Are people coming? Are they going back to restaurants? Is activity picking up as normal? And I wonder how the government is looking at that and trying to push that to help China here.
Yeah, the government is definitely pushing that and trying to reopen, even though we have been having these like mini cluster outbreaks that have been going on for the past week or so. But yeah, the stores, people are going to the stores. They are heading to the restaurants. There are more measures in place. For the most part, the basics ones are that there are several temperature checks for people. People have to register their ID. Here in China, there's a government-mandated health code, or you have to show a barcode that tells the store or the restaurant that where you've been for the past 14 days. So there are these new prevention measures in place to try to get people more confident to go out and shop and dine out.